Surah 5, verse 116, where Allah attempts to define the doctrine of the Trinity. Earlier, in Surah 5, Allah warns Christians not to believe in the Trinity, but in verse 116, we finally get Allah's description of the doctrine of the Trinity. We read, "And remember when Allah will say on the day of resurrection, O Isa, Jesus, son of Maryam, Mary, did you say unto men, worship me and my mother as two gods besides Allah? He will say, glory be to you. It was not for me to say what I had no right to say. Had I said such a thing, you would surely have known it. You know what is in my inner self, though I do not know what is in yours. Truly you, only you, are the all-knower of all that is hidden and unseen." So, according to Allah, Christians believe in a Trinity made up of Allah, Jesus, and Mary, who are three separate gods who work together as one. Needless to say, Christians have never believed in a Trinity made up of God, Jesus, and Mary, so there are only two possibilities here. Either Allah knows what the doctrine of the Trinity is, but he's deliberately misrepresenting it, in which case he's deceptive, or Allah doesn't know what the doctrine of the Trinity is, in which case he's ignorant. Deceptive or ignorant, take your pick. Second.
All right, so the issue here is there are at least 3 points I want to make here. And the first point is, if you read that Quranic verse David Wood just referenced on the screen there, nowhere, the issue here is that the Trinity is nowhere mentioned in that verse, in that Quranic verse he just put up there, nor is the word Christians. It just says men. Thus, some men were saying in believing that the Virgin Mary was a goddess who was to be worshipped as a goddess besides Allah. So the Quran's not saying all Christians or all men believe this. The Quran is just saying that some Christians were believing this. It is true that some Christians in Arabia were teaching and believing that the Virgin Mary was a god or a goddess. An important term the Quran's Arabic uses is a linguistic term in Arabic linguistics. The method of referring to a specific group of people by using a general name is known as Iklam, Isam, El-Kul, El-Bad. And this is something very common. For example, for an example of this, see Tafsir of Al-Qurtubi on the Quran chapter 7, or I'm sorry, on the Quran chapter 3, verse 173. So the Quran was saying some men believe this, not necessarily all men. And again, if we read Tafsir Jalaluddin on the Quran chapter 5, if you read the tafsir of Jalaluddin on that verse, on that Quranic verse, it says the Quran was condemning a certain Christian, pre-Islamic Christian group in Arabia who did actually venerate the Virgin Mary or called out to her or thought of her as a goddess. So the Quran was, so according to the commentary or the tafsir of Jalaluddin, the Quran was condemning that specific Christian group in Arabia, that specific pre-Islamic Christian group in Arabia. This Quranic, that brings me to the next point, in that this Quranic verse, the Quran chapter 5 verse, that David Wood brought up, this Quranic verse was possibly talking about the Collyridians, I apologize if I mispronounced the name, an early Christian heretical sect in pre-Islamic Arabia whose followers apparently worshiped the Virgin Mary, mother of Jesus, as a goddess. So, do we have any evidence for this group existing in pre-Islamic Arabia? Yes, we do. Because according to the secular, not Muslim, but according to secular scholars of religion who have PhDs in Islamic studies and religious studies in Europe, in America, in Western universities, and in Europe, um, they say that the Quran, or there was a pre-Islamic Christian group called the Collyridians, who believed that the Virgin Mary was a goddess, in who was to be worshipped alongside of Jesus, and you can see the references there. Block Corrie in his book, The Quran in Christian Muslim Dialogue, Historical and Modern Interpretations, and Angelika Neuwirth, who is a European scholar on Islam and the Quran. She teaches at a university, I think she teaches in Germany or something like that, but she teaches in a secular European university that says that, yeah, there was a pre-Islamic group in Arabia that worshipped the Virgin Mary as a goddess. But anyways, getting to point 3, this verse could be talking about the Catholics who believe that the Virgin Mary is the mother of God or God bearer. Belief in the incarnation of the Son of God through Mary is the basis for calling her the mother of God, which was declared a dogma at the Council of Ephesus in 431. So the Quran could be talking about the people before Muhammad who are thinking that the Virgin Mary was the mother of God and she was the God bearer. And you can see the references on screen where the Pope John Paul II says that the Virgin Mary was thought of as the mother of the church. So this means that the Catholics venerated Mary so much that they think of her as the mother of God and the mother of church, and they do pray and call out to her. For more, now there's a whole history on how the Virgin Mary was thought of as the God bearer, how she was venerated, how she was devoted, how there were Christians before Muhammad who were praying and having devotions to her before and after the rise of Islam. For more on the Catholic Church veneration of Virgin Mary and how they made her the mother of God, see the Wikipedia article, The Veneration of the Virgin Mary in the Catholic Church, and type in God bearer or the Virgin Mary as Theokos, God bearer, and you'll see a history of people overpraising her and seeing her as the mother of God and praying to her, etc., all validating the Quran. So the conclusion here is that the Quranic verses of the Quran chapter 5 verse 73, the Quran chapter 5 verse 75, and Quran chapter 5 verse 116 are not in error or have historical errors, because there was some Christians in Arabia who believed Mary as a god or goddess, and the Catholics do believe Mary as the mother of God, call out to her, call her God bearer, etc. So the Quranic verses could be talking about those past